I watched my son's car disappear down the long dirt road, dust rising behind it like a closing curtain. 10 people had arrived laughing that morning. By sunset, they were all gone. The house was silent again, too silent for what had just happened. A folder lay open on the kitchen table. My hands were still shaking. That was the day my son called me selfish. The day I was accused of choosing strangers over family. The day I finally chose myself. And it all started with a farm I bought to retire in peace. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Lucy, and I am 60 years old. At 60, people assume you want noise. Grandchildren running through hallways. Television blaring from morning till night. A house forever full, whether your heart is ready or not. They assume retirement is loneliness waiting to be cured by crowds. They are wronged. I didn't buy my farm to escape people. I bought it to finally hear myself breathe. The dream I earned slowly. I worked for 42 years. Not glamorous years. Not the kind people write speeches about. I was a school administrator, files, meetings, endless cups of lukewarm tea. I raised my son mostly alone after his father passed away when the boy was 11. I packed lunches, checked homework, stitched torn uniforms, and swallowed exhaustion like medicine. I postponed dreams the way women of my generation were taught to do. Later, Lucy. After the child grows. After retirement. So when retirement finally came, I didn't want cruises or city apartments or noisy neighborhoods filled with other retirees, pretending not to be tired. I wanted land. Something solid beneath my feet. I bought a modest farm 2 hours from the city. Nothing fancy. 10 acres, an old white farmhouse, a leaning barn, apple trees that hadn't been pruned in years, and silence so deep it felt like a gift. The first night there, I slept with the windows open. No horns. No neighbors arguing. No televisions through thin walls. Just wind, crickets, and my own heartbeat. I cried quietly into my pillow, not from sadness but relief. For the first time in decades, my life belonged to me. My son's version of my dream. My son Daniel visited the farm 2 weeks later. He walked around with his phone in hand, taking pictures before he even hugged me. "This place is amazing, Mom," he said. "You know what this could be." I smiled, peaceful. He laughed. "No, I mean perfect." That should have been my warning. Within minutes, he was talking about family gatherings. About his wife's relatives. About friends from the city needing a break. About summer barbecues, weekend stays, children camping in the fields. "You won't be alone here," he said brightly, like loneliness was a disease he was curing without diagnosis. I told him gently, "Daniel, I didn't buy this farm to host people. I bought it to rest." He waved it off. "You'll love it once it happens. You've always loved family." Had I? Or had I simply carried responsibility so long it looked like affection? When boundaries are treated like suggestions. The calls started soon after. "Mom, my in-laws want to visit for a long weekend." "Mom, my friends are going through a rough patch. This farm would heal them." "Mom, you have so much space." I said no politely, repeatedly. Daniel stopped asking. He started announcing. One Friday afternoon he called and said, "We're coming next week, 10 people, just a few days." I felt something tighten in my chest. "Daniel," I said carefully, "this is my home." There was a pause. Then he sighed. "Why are you being difficult? You're retired. What else do you have to do?" That question hurt more than he realized. Because it revealed something ugly. To him, my time had no value unless it was spent on others. The crowd arrives. They arrived on a Saturday morning. 3 cars. Laughter spilling into the driveway. Children screaming with excitement. Coolers, suitcases, folding chairs. No one asked where to put things. They simply claimed space. Someone turned on music. Someone complained about the lack of Wi-Fi. Someone asked where the guest rooms were. I stood on my porch, watching strangers rearrange my retirement. Daniel's wife smiled at me and said, "You must be thrilled." I was numb. That night, as the house filled with noise and arguments over bathrooms and sleeping arrangements, I sat alone in the barn, listening to the animals settle. For the first time since buying the farm, I felt like a guest in my own life. And something inside me shifted. The decision. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't pack my bags. I planned. At 60, you learn that surprises don't always need fireworks. Sometimes they need clarity. The next morning I woke early and brewed coffee. I waited until everyone gathered in the kitchen, half awake, complaining hungry. I stood at the head of the table. "Good morning," I said calmly. They quieted, sensing something. "I need to say a few things." Daniel frowned. "Mom, can this wait? The kids are." "No," I said gently, "it can't." Silence fell. The surprise. "I bought this farm with my savings," I said. "I maintain it, I pay for it, and I came here to live the last chapter of my life quietly." I looked at each face. "You are welcome as guests, not as occupiers." Daniel opened his mouth. I raised my hand. "I'm not finished." I handed him a folder. Inside were printed house rules, visit limits, quiet hours, advance permission requirements. And at the back, something he hadn't expected. A copy of a rental agreement. "I've listed the farm for short-term retreats," I said. "On the weeks I choose, with strangers who respect boundaries, the income will fund my care as I age." His wife stared. "You're renting it out but not to us." I smiled softly. "Exactly." The fallout. Daniel was angry. He accused me of being selfish, of pushing family away, of choosing strangers over blood. I listened without interrupting. Then I said, "I spent my whole life choosing family. This time I choose myself." The guests left that afternoon. The farm returned to silence. For days I wondered if I'd gone too far. But peace answered me each morning when I woke without dread. What changed after? Weeks passed. Then months. Daniel called again, not to demand but to talk. "I didn't realize how much you gave up," he admitted quietly. I told him I didn't either until I stopped. Now when they visit, they ask first. They come fewer but kinder. They leave gratitude instead of mess. And my farm remains what it was meant to be. The moral. Here is what I learned at 60. Love does not require self-erasure. Family is not ownership. And rest is not something you earn permission for. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do, especially later in life, is surprise people by choosing peace. And if that makes you seem difficult, so be it. Peace is worth the price.